that we have been monitoring over the past couple of days down in the Bay of Campeche. It is now on the move, moving to the northwest at 12 miles an hour, so beginning to push rather quickly towards the Mexican and the Texas coast. So here's the latest advisory. Winds currently holding at about 30 miles an hour, moving to the northwest at 12. That pressure holding at 1,008 millibars. Now this is encouraging because we've actually seen the pressure rise by 1 millibar, and the reason why that's significant is the storm, if it were to strengthen, we would see that pressure begin to lower, and it has not. It has actually risen 1 millibar as it works its way towards the northwest Gulf of Mexico. So again, it looks like landfall would be somewhere right along the northern Mexican coast north of Tampico. But it doesn't matter. Even if this storm were to magically become a tropical storm here at the last minute within the next couple of hours, the impacts on the Texas coast are going to be the same. You see all this dark color out here, these bright reds, the whites, and the yellows and greens. That is very deep tropical moisture out over the northwest Gulf of Mexico, displaced northeast of the center of circulation. And what that means, as the center of circulation works its way towards the west-northwest, all of that moisture is going to get slingshotted right up into the upper Texas coast, and that's why we are looking at widespread, very heavy rain beginning as early as tonight, lasting through all day tomorrow and into Thursday. In fact, we could see some areas totaling quite a few inches of rain. We're talking 4, 5, 6 inches of rain, totaling very quickly with just in a couple of hours. So for that reason, we have a flash flood watch that is in effect area-wide. So whether you're watching from Polk County or Galveston County, or even down towards Palacios, all of southeast Texas is included in this flash flood watch, and that is until Thursday in the morning hours. So again, the heavy rain, the onset of it will be tonight, all day tomorrow, lasting through a good chunk of your Thursday morning. So here's a look at the satellite once again. You can see it is a very disorganized, very broad system. If there's any area of circulation, it would be right down in this area. So there's Brownsville right there to get some bearings. There's Houston. So, but look where all of the moisture is, out here on the northeast side of that center of circulation, if there is one. And that's what's going to be headed up towards the Texas coast over the course of the next couple of days. And that's what's going to bring us the very heavy rain. So let's zoom in a little bit closer to this. And a very disorganized system. Remember, when you want tropical development or you want hurricane development, you would want these thunderstorms, all these bright reds, to begin to wrap around a center of circulation. So if that was your center of circulation, you would want thunderstorms to wrap all the way around that center, and that's where you begin to get that I shape. But we don't have that, thankfully. Look, if there's any circulation, it would be down in this area, very broad circulation. But you can see where all the thunderstorms are to the north and to the east of the center, which is bad because this is the dirty side of the storm, and that is what is headed up to the north and west right towards the Texas coast. So we're talking rainfall estimates that could fall as much as 2 to 3 inches per hour as we get into Wednesday. So again, this is where our flood threat begins to become more real, not necessarily tonight, but getting into that Wednesday time frame. And as we zoom on up, you can see there's the Texas coast there. There's Galveston right there. Houston, we've got Matagorda Bay right there, there's Brownsville, and you can see exactly the trajectory of all of this moisture headed right for us, and that's why rain chances right now we have at 80%, but it really doesn't matter at this point. It is going to rain Wednesday and into Thursday, so certainly prepare for that. And we could have some very heavy rain. Again, the National Weather Service saying that we could see as much as 2 to 3 inches of rain per hour and as much as 6 inches of rain within 4 hours. So some areas could total 6 to 10 inches of rain before all of this is said and done, with some areas maybe even a little bit more than that. And we'll talk about that coming up in just a second. Now, there's not going to be a whole lot of opportunity for this system to strengthen, and the reason why, as it moves into the northwest Gulf of Mexico, it's going to start running into very high wind shear up here. Now, wind shear is important because hurricanes are very fragile. For as vicious as they are, they're very fragile, and they don't like a lot of wind shear blowing the tops off of them. Well, that's exactly what we have. We have a lot of wind shear in the upper atmosphere, and that's going to keep this system from developing into any kind of organized system. At the very most, we could see a tropical depression or a very weak tropical storm, but time is running out before the center of circulation begins to work its way onshore, again down here across northern Mexico. But it's that moisture that we're going to be watching over the next couple of days as it works its way towards our general area. So there's a look at the shear map once again. The shear does relax, but thankfully the storm will already be on shore by the time the conditions become any more favorable for tropical development. So here's a look at the shear environment. When you have a hurricane, you get a vertically stacked system. Sometimes these clouds can go all the way up to 80,000 feet into the atmosphere, where temperatures are running 80 degrees below zero up at that height in the atmosphere. Now, when you get wind shear, look what happens. Everything gets kind of tossed to the side, and it begins to disrupt that flow, or what would become the eye, and does not allow thunderstorms to wrap all the way around that center. If thunderstorms don't wrap all the way around the center, that pressure cannot fall to very low levels. If the pressure doesn't fall, the wind can't get strong. So that's what's going to keep this storm disrupted over the course of the next couple of days as it works its way into the Mexican coast. So good news, this is great news, is that there is a lot of wind shear out there, and conditions will only continue to get more hostile for tropical development over the course of the next couple of days. But again, it doesn't matter at this point because the moisture is there, and it's a lot of deep tropical moisture that is headed this direction. All right, here's a look at the steering currents. Why are we so sure that the rain is headed our way? Well, we have a huge ridge of high pressure across the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Basically, when you see a big high, you might as well say that there is a giant brick wall right here on the periphery of this high. So this area of low pressure has only one place to go, and that is around it, either to the west and to the north. Well, you see this area of low pressure out here across West Texas? That is a deep area of low pressure. And low pressure is going to come down and scoop this thing up and push it right through southeast Texas. And you can see the steering flow coming in right out of the Gulf, coming in right around that area of low pressure, and the two are going to converge and suck this thing up and push it right on through East Texas. So that's why we are so sure that a lot of rain is headed our way over the next couple of days. So we'll have to continue to watch this. Again, we're not so much concerned about whether this is going to develop into a tropical system. We're more concerned about how much rain is going to accompany it as it begins to move through. Now, once that system pushes through, another ridge of high pressure begins to build in over Mexico, and what that's going to do is dry us out very rapidly. And getting into this weekend, temperatures are going to be back in those mid-90s. Feels like numbers 100 to 105, with some areas 110 degrees is what it will feel like heading into Saturday and Sunday. And it's going to be all the more miserable because we're going to have a lot of ground moisture, which means the humidity is going to be through the roof. So again, just a really balmy summer, early summer type day headed our way on Saturday and Sunday. Now in the meantime, here's the future track. You can see some of those spiral bands pushing on through. Let me slow that down a little bit and back it up, and we'll kind of walk through this a little bit better. So there's one feeder band right there. You've got another feeder, whoops, let me move that out of the way. You got another feeder band right there, and it's this motion as it pushes on off to the west, because remember, it's rotating around that area of low pressure. It's the training that we could get along the coast and across our central counties. That's what could begin to stack up some of the rainfall totals pretty quickly as this storm works its way towards our areas. So there you go. This takes us into 6 p.m., 6:30, 7 o'clock this evening. You can see those heavy rain bands already beginning to work their way onshore. A lot of heavy rain out towards Austin, west of the I-35 corridor. But anyway, the bottom line is you can see those rain bands beginning to work their way into the Texas coast. So as early as this evening, we're going to see clouds really build into the area, becoming overcast, and then we're going to see that heavy rain begin to build in heading into the evening hours tonight. In fact, rain chances skyrocket tonight, all the way up to about 70% by the time you head to bed. So from about that drive home, about 5 o'clock, all the way through about midnight, those rain chances are just going to be going straight up. Each and every hour, the rain chances will continue to get higher and higher. Now, as we head into the midnight hour, you can see the rain once again filling in pretty nicely here along the upper Texas coast, out towards New Braunfels as well. And then as we get into tomorrow morning's commute, that's 6 a.m. So you can see very heavy rain once again along the 59 corridor out towards Liberty County. It's just a model, and this is going to continue to fluctuate back and forth. But the bottom line is you can see a lot of rain showing up here across the upper Texas coast. So tomorrow morning's commute going to be a disaster with very, very heavy rain ongoing as we head into the morning hours. This takes us into 9 o'clock. You can see those rain bands converging right over the city of Houston. Again, we could see rainfall rates 2 to 3 inches of rain per hour. And this is going to be a multi-hour event. Now, I don't think it's going to rain heavy all day. I think that there will be periods of very heavy rain. Now, when we say 2 to 3 inches of rain per hour, that doesn't mean that it's going to rain for a solid hour. Just that's the intensity that the rain is going to come down. So some areas we could see an inch of rain in maybe 15 or 20 minutes, and that will be enough to put under some of those low-lying roadways, especially some of the feeder roads. Because as I like to say, it only takes a broken sprinkler system to really put some of those feeder roads underwater. I'm thinking Tidwell, Parker, Gulf Bank right there along the North Freeway, always trouble spots. So keep in mind the low-lying spots are going to be the first to go as this rain begins to work its way into the region. Now, as we head into tomorrow afternoon, you can see it becomes a little bit more scattered, a little bit more broken, bulk of the moisture off to the east, but we're still going to see pockets of very heavy rain developing around the region. And by the way, given the tropical air mass, don't be surprised at all if you see some funnel clouds and or some quick spin up of tornadoes, because there's a lot of circulation in the atmosphere as these tropical systems come on board. Excuse me. And as these tropical systems push through, they begin to interact with the land, and you can get quick spin ups. So these are more of your weak variety. They last a couple of seconds, they touch down, and they're gone. So tornadoes will be something we'll be watching for heading into tomorrow. We're not looking at a good chance of it. I'm just saying it's a possibility that funnel clouds and weak tornadoes could occur in any of the stronger cells. Now, as we get into tomorrow, at 11:30, you'll notice the rain continuing to pull on off to the east, perhaps maybe a little drying out there across our western counties and into our southwest zones as well. But we full well suspect that by the time we get into Thursday, more rain will be headed this way. But check this out. This is 10 o'clock in the morning. On Thursday, look how dry it is across all of southeast Texas. Maybe, just maybe, Wednesday will be the worst day. Maybe we can get this system to push on through pretty quick, and Thursday we can salvage at least most of the day. But right now we still have about an 80% chance of rain in the forecast. If you look carefully, by the way, you'll notice that we've got wind coming in from this direction here. You've got wind coming in from this direction here, like this. It's coming in this direction here like this. So it's almost like there's a center of circulation sitting right there over Hobby Airport. So maybe this is the center of circulation pushing through Houston as we get into Thursday at 10 o'clock. This is good news because, remember, this is a very lopsided system. It's a very shrimpy looking system, which means all of the rain is going to be well to the east and northeast of that center of circulation. So in this scenario, maybe the center of circulation, this is a good place to be because look how dry it is. If this pans out, Thursday may not be a bad day. Maybe tomorrow will be the bad day. But right now, we're monitoring the possibility of both days bringing with it some very heavy rain. So we'll continue to keep you updated on that. But once again, here's a look at some of the rainfall totals as we see it right now. 4 to 6 inches of rain across our northern counties, 6 to 8 inches of rain along the immediate coast, 2 to 4 inches of rain out here across our far western counties getting out towards Austin. Now again, this is going to vary quite a bit. Excuse me. As the system draws closer, we're going to start getting a better read on exactly how much rain we can expect. And again, some of this could fall very quickly. Within about 2 or 3 hours, we could stack up 4 or 5 inches of rain, and that's where we're going to start running into problems. It's not that we can't hold 6 or 7 inches of rain if it falls over a 48-hour period. It's when we get 4 or 5 inches of rain in an hour, that's where we begin to see some really big problems form here across the Houston area. By the way, I thought this was interesting. I put this together yesterday that, we're in hurricane season. How often do hurricanes actually hit in the month of June? Well, you'd have to go all the way back to 1986, 33 years ago, to find the last hurricane to hit the United States in the month of June. And are there any guesses out there? Anybody know the name of it? You should, because it hit right here, just east of Houston, Hurricane Bonnie back in 1986. So for all the longtime Houstonians, you may remember that. It was a very early season hurricane that just happened to hit the Houston area. So over the last 100 and something years, we've had 19 hurricane landfalls across the United States in the month of June. But check that out. Of the 19, 10 hit the state of Texas. So from now up until about the first week of September is prime time for Texas to be hit with storms. And I'm not saying this is going to be a hurricane. This is not going to be a hurricane. I just thought this was a fun fact to throw out there. So here you go. Most of them have been Category 1 hurricanes. This red line here, Category 3, was Hurricane Audrey back in 1957. My grandmother remembers that one very well, and longtime Houstonians or some of our friends out there in the parishes of Louisiana certainly will remember Audrey as a very violent hurricane, a very early season hurricane that killed 400 people in southwest Louisiana. So there you go. There's Bonnie right there. There's the track of Bonnie. 33 years ago. Again, that was the last hurricane to hit the United States in the month of June, and it hit right in our backyard. Okay, so here's the latest once again on Invest 91L. Let me clear this off for you. Winds right now 30 miles per hour according to the National Hurricane Center. It's interesting to note that they are not going to fly this system. They were going to fly it on Sunday. They scrubbed that. Then they were going to fly it on Monday. They scrubbed that too. Then they were going to fly it today, and doesn't look like that's going to happen either. So that's good news, because certainly the Hurricane Center doesn't seem to think that this has a very high likelihood to develop. In fact, they've lowered the development chance to 40%. Winds 30 miles an hour, likely in gusts. These are not sustained winds. It's a very poorly organized system moving to the northwest at 12. That pressure again up 1 millibar to 1,008. Remember, the higher that pressure, the better the news, the weaker the storm. The lower that pressure, if you see this pressure begin to drop, and if it starts dropping rapidly, then you know instantly that you've got you have a storm that's strengthening rapidly. But that is not the case. The pressure is actually rising, and that is very good news, indicating that the storm is not strengthening whatsoever. But again, doesn't matter at this point. We've got a lot of rain headed our way. Flash flood watch in effect through Thursday morning for every single county in our viewing area. All of southeast Texas, whether you're watching from Bryan College Station, whether you're watching from Crockett, Corrigan, Lake Livingston, Conroe, the Woodlands, Tomball, Katy, Sealy, Columbus, El Campo, Angleton, Freeport. You get it. You see it. A lot of rain headed our way, the entire area under a flash flood watch until Thursday morning. So once again, there's a look at the system. Very poorly organized at this point. A lot of rain out there. That is about it. But as we expand the map up a little bit, there's Galveston right there. There's Houston. And if there's any sort of circulation with this at all, it's going to be located down in this general region east of Tampico. But look where all of the moisture is. All of the moisture is to the east and northeast of that center of circulation, and it is all headed right for Houston. So stay weather aware. A lot of rain headed this way. 3 to 5 inches of rain will be pretty common across southeast Texas. Of course, there will be bullseyes where some areas could get much more than that, and there will be areas where that don't get as much, maybe 1 to 2 inches of rain. But this is going to be a situation we're going to have to follow hour by hour and see exactly where those rain bands begin to stack up across southeast Texas. And as you know, as we saw just a few weeks ago, 10 inches of rain can fall very rapidly, as they saw in Kingwood about 3 weeks ago. All right, that's all I have for you right now. If you want another update, Erica will be on the noon news coming up here in about a half hour, and we'll be on all our social platforms coming up a little bit after the noon show. If you can't catch us then, of course, you can catch us on the air beginning at 4 o'clock today. Hope everybody has a great afternoon. We'll keep you updated. Bye-bye.